Welcome to Faces of Beth Tikvah. Our guest today is Aaron Kohn. Aaron is an active member of the Beth Tikvah community. And Aaron, it's great to interview you this afternoon. Thank you for making time for this.
My pleasure.
Thank you so much. Recently we had the holiday of Shavuot, and we stayed up all night studying the Torah. And you were one of the speakers. You were one of the people who spoke. And you mentioned in your presentation that you had your bar mitzvah in Israel on one of the Rabbi Zeitz's trips. So I was wondering if you could tell us a little bit about that, because that sounded very interesting. I didn't realize that Rabbi Zeitz had put together these trips with bar and bat mitzvah candidates. Tell us a little bit about that, please.
So these trips were more of a yearly event with Rabbi Zeitz to keep the younger generation involved. He had we had a Rosh Chodesh bar mitzvah done at the Kotel and a bat mitzvah done on Masada. They were all done in different ways to keep everyone as interested and to participate in whatever ways possible. And on that trip, I know that Rabbi Zeitz always made sure that there was a way that I would be able to participate in everything.
Yes, yes.
When I was on that trip with Rabbi Zeitz for my brother's bar mitzvah, I did not have any walking aids. When I went on my Israel trip, I had crutches at that point.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So my physical capabilities has changed as as every member of Beth Tikvah knows me now at Shul that I'm with a walker or in a wheelchair. But things have still always changed as time went by.
Yes, yes. So this is very interesting. So it was a trip that was geared for bar and bar mitzvah families. So when you were at the Kotel, you read your parsha, and other candidates did too?
Yes. So when the year that I went to Israel for my brother's bar mitzvah, there were many more families who went because it was at a more safe time to be in Israel.
Right.
There were five, six, seven bar mitzvah boys and many bat mitzvah girls as well. So they read the Rosh Chodesh Parsha a number of times for everyone to take part.
Right.
For my trip to Israel, there were only two bar mitzvahs and two bat mitzvahs. So it was a bit more of a shortened event
Yes.
in that case. The trip itself took the same amount of time. We're still able to enjoy going all around touring Israel,
Right.
and with everything that was there, I it always felt comfortable for me to be in Eretz Israel, being in a part where I also have much extended family there.
Yeah. Yes.
So it let me connect with family that, other than the first time that I was in Israel for my brother's bar mitzvah, I never really met until that point. But
Wonderful.
I've been to Israel over 10 times since
Yeah.
that point.
Amazing. Amazing. It's incredible. So let me get back to what you were saying just a minute ago. You mentioned this also in your Shavuot night presentation, that earlier in your life, your mobility was a little different than it is today. So I was wondering if you're able to share a little bit about the journey and how this has shaped your perspective today in your life today.
So the voyage of my physical capabilities, in some ways, it's changed my views in two different ways. First, in a personal and an interpersonal way. How it affected me in the interpersonal is that through childhood, no one really understands what it means to have classmates who's disabled. So I was more ignored at that point. I didn't really have a group of friends, and even my own family didn't really understand my true capabilities. But the thing is that even though on the on the outside I was always different, I I was always able to try to achieve the maximum I was able to do. As some people believe that when Mashiach comes, everyone will be perfect. But the thing is, what actually is perfect? Is perfect someone who can walk on 2 feet? Or is perfect someone like me? It's all about how you look on the inside and the outside, and what actually makes you into the perfect person you can be.
Yes, that's fantastic. Very well said, very well stated. That's an important, very, very wonderful, important point. Now, in addition to going back for a moment to the bar mitzvah, you had the bar mitzvah in Israel, but then you also came back to Beth Tikvah and had a bar mitzvah in the synagogue too.
Yes, I actually had my bar mitzvah in Abet Tikva before the bar mitzvah in Israel, since the bar mitzvah in Israel happened during the summer, and my bar mitzvah here was in May. So,
Aha.
like, for my brother, it happened in the other way, but for me, it was first Montreal, yeah, Abet Tikva, and then in Israel.
Yes. Well, in as much as you've faced some of these mobility challenges in your life, perhaps there are some things that you could tell us that might surprise people to learn about you, some of your accomplishments that you've had despite some of the challenges.
So, with physical capabilities, one thing that I can say that have happened to be on multiple occasions on different holidays. This had happened when I was walking with crutches.
Hmm.
That on a holiday, I was walking to shul for Mincha Mariv one day,
Hmm.
and then there were other people who were leaving their houses, getting ready to go in their cars since they weren't shomer. But
Hmm.
when they saw me walking and they saw that I was what I was accomplishing, they decided if he can walk, I can walk.
Oh my goodness, that's fantastic. That's great. So,
Other than that, there was also a time when I went on the my first trip to Israel, which we went on an archaeological dig, that I managed to go down a flight of stairs, wooden stairs held by ropes.
wow,
No one believed that I would be able to get down, but I
wow.
did. I
Yeah.
didn't let anyone say it otherwise. And I was the only one who actually found a full piece of pottery at the archaeological dig.
Incredible. That's incredible. And also, if I'm not mistaken, you also were on the March of the Living.
Correct. So when I went on the March of the Living, this happened for two different reasons. One was that I always felt that I wanted to go on the trip. I always came to Shavuot services, which we always used to have that year the marchers come and talk about their experience. But some people didn't believe I would physically be able to handle the trip with all the
Hmm.
physical walking and such.
Hmm.
So there was a member of Bet Tikva, Moshe Borik, who's actually a member of my family, who donated an a wheelchair to a hospital in Israel. But it
Hmm.
was done in a way that we took the wheelchair to Poland then to Israel. And then before we went back home, we just left the wheelchair at the hospital. So I was able to take it and use it to be able to handle the trip.
Amazing.
The
Incredible.
reason why the wheelchair was important is not people who don't go on the march don't understand the distance of the actual march, going from Auschwitz to Birkenau, and all the walking in Auschwitz, and then all the walking in Birkenau afterwards. So I was walking around in Auschwitz, and when the march started, the leaders were telling me, go in the wheelchair, go in the wheelchair. So I didn't want to get into an argument. I sat down in the wheelchair. But as soon as the march started, I stood up and I managed to do the entire march walking. Once I got to Birkenau, then I was tired. Then I sat in the wheelchair.
Amazing, amazing. Now, with the March of the Living, they also go to Israel, right, following the trip to Poland.
Correct, yes.
Correct. Interesting. And about how many days do they stay in Israel for at that point?
It's basically a week in Poland and a week in Israel.
Excellent. Excellent. So you've really, managed to do these incredible things. And this March of the Living trip, was it with your school or who?
Well, it wasn't only my school. So the March of the Living, it was all the Jewish schools of Montreal. And the Montreal group was the biggest group of all the marchers. So
Oh,
for the actual march itself, we were the group that was leading the rest of the marchers. So
amazing.
instead of me just being in the wheelchair or me walking, I was actually kind of leading the actual march itself.
Wow. Wow. It must have been incredible. I've never done the March of the Living trip, but I've heard so many stories about it. It's quite a remarkable trip, the way they organize it. And I think my kids have been on it. So they have told me about it, and it was incredible for them, and I'm sure it was incredible for you.
It was. And
Yes.
one other thing about the march that could be related to this is that when we were in Israel, we went to Masada. And when we were on the bus, they told us, you don't need to go up Masada, but everyone who goes up Masada needs to be willing to walk down. Whenever I was on the Israel trips with Rabbi, I always wanted to walk up Masada, but no one really thought that I could walk up the snake path, which is all rubble. So when I still went up on Masada, and we went down the Roman path, which is a very, very, very long staircase from the top to the bottom. They we had a videographer, but then the video was never made. He came with me while two other people, so I had him videotaping me, someone else with a bottle of water, so after every flight of stairs I wouldn't get dehydrated.
Right.
And I was the slowest one out of everyone, but I made it down in one piece, and I was proud of myself.
Yes, I'm sure. I am sure that is like that's these are things that you've accomplished, which are really quite amazing. Now, I want to ask you, if you could share one piece of advice with others in the community, especially maybe some people that are going through their own challenges. What would that be? What kind of advice would you give them?
The advice that I would give anyone who has any type of challenges, physical, cognitive, or any type, is never let other people talk you down. Always believe in yourself. Because the truth be told, your abilities foreexceed even your own dreams. And the only thing that can ever keep you down is thoughts and words that you hear from others. So
Mm,
if you cut that out of your life. Not that you erase other people from your life, but you erase that negative point of view. You'll be able to believe in yourself and accomplish more than you ever dreamed possible.
Beautiful. Beautifully stated. We're fortunate at Beth Tikvah because you are a Kohen, and you are able, not only are you able to give us advice like you just did, but you're able to give us blessings. How long have you been doing the Berkat Kohanim at Beth Tikvah?
I've been doing the Birkat Kohanim since before my bar mitzvah. I was doing it for many years before, when I was able to stand up without any aid. Then when I had crutches, we spoke, and then Rabbi Zeitz was allowed it that I can have a chair in front of me while I did it standing. And now I do it sitting down on the ground, still turning around for the Birkat Kohanim.
Incredible. Yes.
So
yeah.
because there are some people may view that being a Cohen makes you a number one, special over everyone else. But in truth, a Cohen is just a messenger. We are there to bless everyone, but we're not blessing people because we're the holy ones. We're just the messenger in which God sent his blessings through us to go to everyone else.
Mm.
And that's why one time, the first time that I wasn't able to do a Birkat Kohanim fully standing up on my own, this happened a long time ago, and Mickey Gutman he saw me. I fell down a few times in the middle of Birkat Kohanim. He rushed up and tried to help me stand up, asked me if I was okay. In the end, I finished Birkat Kohanim at that time just on my knees, because we couldn't bring a chair at that point. But it was very nice having someone in the community that was observant of the challenge that was there and wanted to make sure that I didn't hurt myself more than expected.
Amazing. Yes, yes, yes. Wonderful, interesting, very, very wonderful story that you shared. Thank you for sharing that. Now, as a Kohen, again, we feel fortunate that you're able to provide those blessings for us. And I know also that quite every few weeks or months, you also recite a haftorahs. How did you get so good at that?
So, the truth be told, for a very long time, I only did my bar mitzvah haftorah. I never did any other, and I can only do my haftorah every 4 years, because Behar is only done individually every Jewish leap year.
Right.
It was only this past year that I started doing haftorahs more often. I decided to do it because, in a way, other people could lead services, can do other parts of the service. But because I can't stand for very long, I can't really do much of those events. I feel like I technically could lead a service, but I would still be sitting down during a midah, which in my mind isn't the proper place for someone leading the service. They should be standing up like everyone else.
Mm-hmm.
So at least with a haftorah, that you're not reading from the Torah itself, so I can do it sitting down, and I've been able to do a haftorah for not only myself, but I did one for my father's bar mitzvah anniversary,
Yes.
the passing of my grandfather, the yurtzeit of my grandfather on my other side. So I've been able to do it for multiple events, and I've always felt capable in some ways, because back when I was at Herzliya, I was always a member of the minyan from secondary 1 until the end. And during secondary 5, I led Minyan almost on a daily basis. I would even go and try to learn the Cohen Aliyah enough to do the Torah reading every Monday and Thursday.
Wow. That's a huge undertaking. Oh, wow. So you have all that experience from Herzliya. And who was your bar mitzvah teacher?
My bar mitzvah teacher was Hank.
Hank. Okay. And that was Parshas Bahar. Well, all these stories that you're sharing with us are very, very wonderful to hear, because all the purpose of this series is the Faces of Beth Tikvah, to get people to know each other better. And you're really sharing a lot tonight or this afternoon with your of your experiences, and it's very, very much appreciated. And I think that you have a lot to teach us, and you have a lot to share. So I hope that maybe one of these weeks you'll have a chance to do the Haftorah again, and I'm sure it will be great. I thank you also for taking the time during the week to study, to learn, and Torah. We try to study with each other. It's been wonderful. I've learned tremendous amount from you. So I know that you're in the health field. You're a working person. You work a lot of hours, and fortunately, you're very successful at your company, but it also tires you out. So I thank you so much for making the time for this interview, and I thank you for the other Torah classes that we share together. In the meantime, I hope that you have a wonderful evening. Tomorrow is another day, and you'll be back at work. So we want to wish you continued success, and thank you for making Beth Tikvah such an important part of your life. You've done that for many decades, you and your family. Your mom has been doing great things with the Torah classes, also with the recordings that people enjoy. So all in all, we're very grateful to you and your family, and wish you continued success as you move ahead, Aaron. Thank you so much for being with us.
My pleasure.
Hang in there for 1 minute. I'm going to stop the recording, and then I'll continue to talk with you. Hang in there for a second. Thanks.